Recently, 1047 Games, the developers behind the beloved series the Splitgate games, have recently announced their new game, EMPULSE. I'm here to talk about it because I have thoughts. Across the gaming community, one thing you've probably heard is that people want Titanfall, and it looks like 1047 Games are going to be the ones bringing it to us. I don't know how many of you guys have played Splitgate, but Splitgate is a damn quality game, and it never really found its footing because of the portals, I think. It's just, people have said this, I'm not the first person to say this is not revolutionary. The portals aren't accessible, and all the successes that Splitgate has had have been flash in the pan. Because even now, I stuck around with Splitgate, even Arena Reloaded. I played at launch, I played all through Season 1, and then I bought the Ultra Pass for £15. 50 great British pounds, by the way. And for Season 2 I bought it as well, because they changed it. You didn't need to buy it with real money anymore, you could spend the premium currency on it, and I spent the premium currency I'd earned from the Ultra Pass on the new one. So basically you can just keep buying them forever. But I don't even know if I'm going to complete this one, because Season 2 I've just lost interest. It's the case of players after a few days losing interest because they're getting owned by the existing players who've been playing since Splitgate 1 released in 2019. That happened to me, but after 4 months. I played all through Season 1, and I think the player base in Season 1 was enough for it to sort of diffuse those players out. They were in the high ranks, and then the moment... It was interesting, because in the moment... I don't know if it was gold or diamond. I was gold, and then I hit diamond. But when I was grinding ranked in Season 1 and I was in gold, I was literally playing against Americans, or on teams with Americans, because it was through voice chat. They were on open mic. They were through them on open mic, talking about what casserole they were going to bring to their... I don't know what a casserole is. Listen to me say casserole. Casserole. I don't know what they are, but they were talking about it in my gold game, and then I ranked up to, I think it was diamond. Was it diamond or plat? I don't remember. I don't know the ranks, man. But I ranked up to the rank above gold, and just owned sweat, comms, strats. I was getting cooked, and it was the moment where I D-rank, and I'd just be owning these noobs, these grannies, talking about casserole. Their casserole, and some family drama. And I wish I recorded it. Maybe I have. But I probably haven't for their privacy. I just sat there and enjoyed it. But talking about casserole, and then I ranked it to the rank above, and I was just getting owned by sweats who were genuinely common and getting frustrated at me in voice. That I don't think it was me directly, but I was they were getting pissed at me. That was my experience with Splitgate, and that's why I quit. Because those players over time get filtered out by the sweats, and they just leave, and eventually that took me as well. And that's just because of the portals. The portals are insane. They're a great mechanic. I think one thing I've always said about Splitgate is it's one of 2 games that have successfully managed to combine a completely unique mechanic. And one of those games is Fortnite with building, which also kind of does that, but it has zero. It actually had the balls to add zero build, which I initially was hesitant about, but I think going in, it has become Fortnite's greatest strength, that it can support 2 modes, and zero build is insanely good. It's insanely healthy for the health of the game. Maybe Splitgate can learn a thing or two, but I think they're done with Splitgate. They're just going to leave it as is, like Splitgate 1. But okay, that's jumping the gun a bit. I guess we have to go through the history of Splitgate. Splitgate, contrary to popular belief, Splitgate 1 did not launch at the time it was popular. Splitgate 1, I think it was 2021, before the release of Halo Infinite, because everyone was excited for Halo Infinite. They kind of wanted a similar experience. They were looking around, and then Splitgate released on consoles during that time, and it exploded. And the servers couldn't handle it, because before Splitgate launched, according to Steam, in 2019, not 2021, 2019, as a student project, or a university project, I think it was. The 2 founders, Ian, who had the hat, we'll talk about the hat in a bit, and some other guy, I can't remember his name. They were students at the university, and they made it as their university project, and after they left university, they kept working on it. It was Wormhole, Splitgate Arena Warfare, and then it was just Splitgate. And then eventually that Splitgate released on console, and it boomed, and the servers couldn't handle it because the population was so low, and it was literally just a tiny team working on the game. Then they just scaled it down so they could support it on their own. A tiny team with a tiny player base, a tight-knit community, working on Splitgate, playing Splitgate because they loved it, right? And then it exploded, and the servers that were scaled to that tiny player base just couldn't handle it, and they never really did. and they spent time like fixing the servers, but they just couldn't, and it never really reached the same peaks again. And then Halo Infinite came out, but the Splitgate hype had already died down. I think if they'd been able to fix the servers before players started leaving, I think they would have maintained that steam up to the release of Halo Infinite, and then because Halo Infinite's launch wasn't good, I think there would have been a genuine conversation around Halo versus Splitgate, and maybe those communities would have formed, and actually the tight-knit community of Splitgate would have grown massively. But they didn't fix their servers in time. That's all in the past. What happened. But that means that there was like conversation about Halo versus Splitgate when Halo Infinite came out, but it was honestly a joke at that point. It was like no one was playing Splitgate anymore, even back then. And then part of the success was Epic Games giving them $100 million. I remember it as 10 million, but I've seen people saying 100 million, and like what the team has done up to now has not been profitable. I highly doubt it, so I think it was around the ballpark of 100 million. And people don't know that. People are like, where are they getting the money from? That's where they're getting their money from. They need a hit 'cause it's going to run out, and we'll get into that later. That's why they're making EMPULSE. They take that money and they hire a bigger team and they work on Splitgate 2. Now, Splitgate 1 is a student project that was a passion project that they supported for many years. Splitgate 2 is a bigger team run by people whose basically entire gaming experience is Splitgate. They want to make more Splitgate. They love Splitgate. Splitgate to them is their life. And they just want to make Splitgate as they had always imagined it. Because when you're a tiny team, you've got grand visions for how big and awesome you want this game to be. And that you can never achieve that, and then Epic Games gives you $100 million, and you're like, okay, maybe we can actually make this. And so they do, and that game is called Splitgate 2. Now, Splitgate 2 has its own problems. First of all, the marketing, that hat, and that trailer. They were all hyping up, this is something you've never seen. People were saying it was BR before the BR was announced, and it was actually a BR, and I was like, okay, well, and then it came out. BR was fun. The thing is, okay, we're talking about Splitgate 2. I vaguely remember Splitgate 2. I don't remember it fully, but I remember not liking it. My history with Splitgate is I played it, I think around in 2019, honestly. It was like I was looking for free games on Steam and I found Splitgate Arena Warfare. Well, that was back when it was called Splitgate Arena Warfare, and I played it for like I think like 8 or 9 hours, like when I was like 16 or 7. No, I was 15 back then. Bloody hell. When I consider myself a wheel ass back then. I was stupid, and I don't consider myself sentient until I was like 17, 18. I wasn't sentient back then. I was just playing games, any games I could find, and I found Splitgate Arena Warfare, and I played it, and it was fun. So actually, coming back to Splitgate, I was like, oh, I recognise this, and maybe that's why I stuck around with Splitgate after both booms, and I'm still here now talking about Splitgate. But yeah, Splitgate 2. This is my opinion here. I think they had the money and they didn't know what to do with it. They were like, okay, let's make a hero. Let's make it a hero game. Like, well, that's the classes Meridian, Eros, and Sabrask. That was easily the biggest L of Splitgate 2, the classes. They were just... it just made it like... Oh, it was so bad. On one hand, it was convoluted to figure out what items could go on what class and all that stuff. And on the other hand, it was like, there wasn't that much depth. I think each class had like, like 2 or 3 like abilities each, and there were like shields and cross-map reveals, and it was just... It was really strong. All the abilities were really strong and also really shallow. You place the shield when you're getting shot. You use a scan to find out where they are, and then you had the stim, the like combat stim. That was the fun one, obviously. But it's like there's 3 choices. It's boring. That was one problem with Splitgate 2. The other problem was the modes. Ironically, the modes that were the biggest departure from OG Splitgate, which was Big Team and Battle Royale, were the ones I liked the most. I really liked Big Team. Big Team was fun because I could just like I racked up. I think I have a recording, which I'm probably playing in the background right now, of a game where I got like 100 kills. I think it was a bot match though. It was like one of my first games of Splitgate 2. But yeah, I like the Big Team modes. I like Battle Royale for a little bit, and then you start running into the pro players, and it's like It's a whole new thing. But also the marketing, the hat. People just turned on it. Like public perception, people say that Twitter doesn't matter. Maybe I'm too terminally online, but I think it does. It's public perception. Like content creators use it. They use it as their foundation for their beliefs. They're like, oh, well, let me look at Twitter to see how public opinion is. And I think that might have been valid pre-Elon, but you know, now it's just all hate, and it's just like, I don't think it's valid anymore. Maybe that's why gaming culture is diminished into a Steam chart. Like, this isn't a video about Steam charts. We're not going to talk about player counts. I mean, we're going to talk about them in vague terms, like the game is clearly not popular, and that's for a valid reason, which is the portals, but we're not talking about numbers here. Like, look at this graph. This line go down. Red number. Ugh. Like, I don't care about that. But the game's clearly not popular. The game's clearly not sustaining itself, and they need to do something new, and that is Impulse. Splitgate 2 was good. Classes was sucky. Apparently there were technical issues looking back, and the main thing was that the reason they pivoted from Splitgate 2 to Arena Reloaded is because of the original community that was been playing for years, pre-2021 boom, just for the hardcore, the ones that basically the ones that supported it when it was still tiny. They were the ones that complained that Splitgate 2 was too different from the original, and the developers agreed. Now, here's the thing. Splitgate Arena Reloaded is excellent. I think it's the best version of Splitgate out of the three. Out of the original, out of 2 and Arena Reloaded is the best. It's the best of both worlds, but I think catering to the needs of their core fan base was a mistake. Well, I think there was a bigger mistake, which we'll talk about, but it was a mistake. It was one of the mistakes with Arena Reloaded. They flat out removed Big Team. Maybe that's a play count thing. I love Big Team. Big Team was fun. It was just another option. You had so many options and you took them away. Loadouts. I think I've talked... Well, I'm gonna... Yes, I have talked about loadouts on their subreddit. There's no like video I can link back to. I've talked about loadouts on their Reddit when I was complaining about Season 2. That's how in the community I am. I complained about Splitgate, about Season 2 of Splitgate Arena Reloaded in the subreddit. Oh god, I gotta dig that up now to quote it. Fuck. God damn it. Look, I'm opening Reddit now. For context, Season 2 added ranked with even starts. This gets to my complaints about the loadout system. Well, actually, no, it doesn't. It talks about my complaints with the loadout system in relation to even starts. It's like... Okay, so here's the quote. I can understand why people liked ranked with even starts, but it completely invalidates the loadout system instead of coexisting with it. Outside of casual arena modes, loadouts are useless, making the grind required to unlock stuff completely pointless. Instead of changing everything based on a community poll, a terrible idea in its own right. I'm not going to talk about a community poll, but they did a community poll for ranked. The ranked mode they chose with the community. What the hell? Like, they're trying to appease people too much, and the only people who are listening are their core audience. So the feedback they're going to get are from their core audience. Don't do community polls for changing your entire modes. Like, that's stupid. Try to make all the systems in the game cohesive, deep, and above all interesting. Okay, that's talking about loadouts. Loadouts, it's not the fundamental flaw with loadouts. It's like, just, what are they? Too much choice removes decision making. That's the quote that's the quote I came up with. Too much choice removes decision making. I'm going to talk about Deadlock for a bit. Deadlock is a game with a ton of items, a ton of stats, a ton of numbers, a ton of complexity. Recently, I've started to think that the Deadlock number system kind of sucks and is awful and dog shit, because it's basically rock, paper, scissors. This item hard counters this item, which may be countered by a status effect. Usually curse, because it stops you, or silence, because it stops you using your abilities. You've got to do that, but then that can be cleansed with a specific rule that you need to learn, and that is just awful. I think it sucks. And the one thing tying that awful system together is the soul cost requirement, the decision-making required to purchase an item to counter something. You might have a build, like a set build you've chosen or even made, that tells you what steps you need to reach in order to reach your full potential. Reach your full potential. I've been watching Ninjago. I'm a 23-year-old man. I'm watching Lego Ninjago. Okay, don't judge me. You've got the set build where you need to buy these specific items in order to reach your full potential, and in order to counter someone else, you need to take out of that pool from your power in order to specifically counter that player. That sole aspect of decision making and resource management is holding together the entire gameplay of Deadlock. I'm not kidding. Okay, the itemization is messy as hell. It's janky. There are so many weird niche rules that you just have to learn. It's not clean. It's a mess. People aren't going to talk about this, and people probably gonna. This is probably controversial, but it's so messy. The more time I've had to think about Deadlock, the more time I've had to think like, what the hell is going on in that game? It's such a mess. We haven't even got to EMPULSE yet. Bloody hell. Loadouts in Splitgate kind of suck because there's not enough customization. The options are really scarce, and when you have too few options, you're just gonna pick what you like and stick with it basically forever. You've got equipment gain on kill, like reload speed, like conditional reload speed, and different guns, and it's like maybe that'll change based on the map. There's one map I see where a lot of people are the Phasma because you just span down corridors. Loadouts are a mess. They're very shallow. There's not enough choices, and the choices aren't impactful. That's the problem with loadouts, and they're also useless now because, like, Arena Reloaded, the perks are picked up. Perks are picked up. Weapons are picked up. Like, who cares? The loadout you spawn with is at the beginning of the game when you respawn. You're going to replace your guns anyway, unless you upgrade them. And you start with a secondary, which you're 100% going to replace because you can run 2 primaries in Arena Reloaded. And in Battle Royale, what's it called? It's like Arena Royale. In the beginning, they were all in Battle Royale, they were in casual, and they were in ranked. Now they're only in casual, and that's clearly because the community doesn't like them, and they don't work. Loadouts suck. Where am I going with this? Battle Royale's good. It's just sweats now though, so I don't play it. I kind of stopped playing Splitgate. That's why I'm very excited for EMPULSE. The reason I played Splitgate Arena Reloaded is because Splitgate AR is a damn quality game. It feels good. I have had the take. Where's the tweet? I'll pull up. Splitgate Arena Reloaded has the best movement in any game I have ever played. Slide perk main, so I'm excited for this already requested access. That was my post reacting to the initial reveal that they're making a Titanfall-inspired shooter. I stand by it. I've played Titanfall. It's a fine game. Campaign's banging. Splitgate has the best movement ever. Also, this is like I've called Apex a mediocre game carried by the best mechanics of any FPS game ever made. Splitgate has better movement. Just like slightly better because of portals and because of the weight, I think. Splitgate has a more satisfying weight curve than Apex. I think Apex, the servers are dog shit, which doesn't help, but yeah. EMPULSE is going to feel amazing. People are going to play it and they're going to be surprised with how good it feels. Especially from by the screenshots. Let's pull out the screenshots. It looks like Splitgate, right? They've said that they've been working on EMPULSE while they've been working on Splitgate, and I believe them. I'm not going to like sit here and say they're lying. I'm looking at the screenshots and I'm actually physically recognizing guns in Splitgate. Like, that is a Phasma. That is a Rampage. I don't know if it's called a Rampage. I think it is called a Rampage. That's a Carbine. That's a Carbine. I think that's the air. I'm going to say that's the Aeros Burst Rifle. It's hard to tell because it's tiny, but I think that's what that is. They announced an AMA recently, and the question I asked okay, I'm opening Reddit again. Sorry. The question I asked in the AMA about EMPULSE, their new game, is, apart from just the Titans, expanded movement and lack of portals, what gameplay-wise makes this different to just Splitgate Arena Reloaded with a lick of paint? 4 updates, by the way. People are agreeing with me. Oh yeah. But no. There's like subtle things that are gonna make me sound like a crazy person when I describe them, but the color I mean, this might just be because it's the same devs, right? But the color correction is the same as Splitgate in subtle ways, where the blacks have a strong hint of blue in them. In Arena Reloaded, this is the most obvious in ironically, the main menu screen. Even when you're viewing the cosmetics, the blacks have a hint of blue in them, And this game has the exact same thing. The player models look very similar. They kind of got their, like, not skin type, but like skin-fitting sort of suits running around in. Like, you can the thing about this one is you can actually see faces. Like, they're people, not like skinwalkers. Which is different. That's not like Splitgate Arena Reloaded. They're all skin suits in like Halo style, like wearing, you know, armor. This maybe because it's in pre-alpha, but it looks very similar to Splitgate. Very similar, like same guns, exactly the same guns, similar. Which makes me believe that they're working on it in the same build as Splitgate. Maybe it's a branch, you know, they're just forking out, they're doing their own thing now, but the base they started with was Splitgate. And they're just working with the base weapons that they already had in that game. Which makes me more excited because Splitgate guns feel great. This is going to be hard for you to hear if you don't play Splitgate, but Splitgate is a damn excellent game. All of its problems are to do with its mechanics. And not even that they're bad, just that they're too hard. It will never be accessible to a major audience, and you're, like, even me, I'm above average at Splitgate. I reached the high ranks, even though I got owned in them, but there's pro players who've been playing since 2019 have filtered me out. And that's just going to happen because of portals, because it's fucking insane what you can do with those things. That's not the case in EMPULSE, and that's exciting to me because you are going to get with EMPULSE the quality of Splitgate Arena Reloaded with the gameplay of Titanfall. That's the exciting thing about me for EMPULSE, is the gameplay of Titanfall with the polish, the excellent feel, the brilliant mechanics and excellent movement of Splitgate Arena Reloaded. And that's exciting. And, you know, with grapples and dash, and, you know, I'm spitballing here, but dashes and double jumps and jump pads, which you can actually see here, all that kind of stuff, it's going to make the movement feel even better. Sure, they're probably going to change the values. I'm guessing they're probably going to make players a bit heavier, but it's going to feel excellent, purely based off my experience with Arena Reloaded. Now, this next point is going to be something I've seen parroted a lot over social media, and that is that 1047, the developers of EMPULSE and Splitgate, they love to move on from projects. Firstly, it was Splitgate 1, then it was Splitgate 2, and now it's Arena Reloaded being left in the dust. And here's the thing with that. That's a valid thing to think, right? Because even before this, their thing was just, you're going to relaunch Splitgate again. That was kind of the meme, the like, not even a meme, just like a derogatory statement towards 1047. You're going to release, the game's dying, you're going to re-release it again, right? And that's the case with EMPULSE. It's like, oh, you're going to release a new game. Well, I can't wait for it to get replaced in a few months by the same developers with the same game but slightly different. That's the derogatory. I mean, that's the insult they hurl at 1047. We've got to do a case-by-case basis on this. Splitgate 1 was a passion project with a few students, by a few students that they ran for years. And then they got $100 million from Epic Games. Now, if I had that money, I would make a new game. If I've been working on the same game for ages with a tiny team and it could never really realize its true potential, I'd take that money and realize its true potential. And that's what Splitgate 2 is. Now, it was ass. Gameplay-wise, the factions were terrible, and the gameplay had a lot of problems. It was too different. That's sort of... Whether they needed to change that aspect is arguable, because there was mostly from community, like core community peer pressure. But, well, whatever. They changed it again because of peer pressure, and the game is better. But the thing is, you need to understand is, it's a relaunch. It's Overwatch 2. Even, honestly, it's more substantial than Overwatch 2 because it includes meaningful gameplay changes. It's not just lowering a tank, right? Now, Overwatch 2 has gone on to earn, in my opinion, its sequel status, even though that was recently removed. Overwatch! Splitgate Arena Reloaded offered meaningful gameplay changes, and in my opinion, it's basically the same game with a different name as Splitgate 2. Now, with EMPULSE, people are saying it's another flash in the pan. They're going to get distracted. Because Arena Reloaded right now, they literally said they're slowing down on it, they're slowing down on it earlier than they had anticipated. One of the questions I asked in the AMA, I laughed doing 1047 AMAs, man. There was a Splitgate AMA a while ago, and I said, I think it was in January, and I asked the question, what does an update to Splitgate 2 look like in a year from now? And they said more maps, modes, events, guns, stuff like that. Here's the thing. This is a weird statement because they've proven themselves to be loyal to Splitgate. They've re-released the game 3 goddamn times, or twice, I guess. they've re-released the game twice. Splitgate 1, Splitgate 2, and Reloaded. That's the same game, iterated on multiple times. EMPULSE is literally their first crack at something new. With the initial Splitgate 1 boom, the launch of Splitgate 2, and the launch of Splitgate Arena Reloaded, all these spikes, they have not once been able to maintain that player base. Why? Simply because, and this is widely agreed in the community, portals are too difficult and people get owned. There's no counterplay. It's a brand new mechanic that they have to learn, and it also has such an insanely high skill ceiling already that people are just, they leave because it's not fun. And I left. You know, I can attest to this. It's just not fun to get owned by people who've been playing for half a decade, mastering this mechanic, right? 1047 has been locked by that limitation in their game because they've been making the same game. All their Splitgates have had portals in them. Therefore, they have all had that problem. And if they keep working on Splitgate, that is going to be a problem they keep having to face. With this new game, EMPULSE, they don't have that problem anymore. This is the first time they don't have that problem. It's a new thing without portals, and they can design the game around specifically not having that problem of new players getting owned with too difficult to learn mechanics. Grappling hooks and jump pads and high movement and titans. It's nothing crazy. It's sort of a combination of mechanics that already exists. It's literally Titanfall, I'll just say it. Portals are something completely new, unless you played Portal, but even then it's a completely different context. Portals are something completely new that you need to learn. And there's multiple of them. There's your team's portals, there's shooting through portals, there's all these different angles and momentum stuff. It's insane. And in order to play Splitgate, you need to learn it. When people think Splitgate, they think portals, they think, I don't want to learn this. And with EMPULSE, not only do they not have that problem anymore, but they've got new expectations. I said, and I stand by, Splitgate Arena Reloaded is the best version of Splitgate. They have spent the best part of half a decade polishing and learning from the experience of making Splitgate, to the point where now what they have is a very polished product. They know how to make a movement shooter, which is why I'm very excited for them to be making a brand new movement shooter. They will be able to take the learnings from the half decade of Splitgate and pour it into a brand new game. A game without the fear of having to learn a completely new mechanic and portals that completely changes the whole game. Not only that, it actually is something new in these days. If any developer went to their publisher and saying, okay, we're making a movement Titanfall-inspired arena shooter, they would get no funding. But since Splitgate basically earned 100 million a few years ago, and it was a grant, so they don't have to pay it back. They just got given a fat lot of cash, but like, make great games. It took them a while, but I think they're getting there. Original Splitgates, they all had the portal problem. This game doesn't, which is why I think it is their first and only chance to break into the industry with a game that could actually have mass appeal and be popular. This is a first for 1047. You've got games like Shatter Rush that are coming out now, and I think there's another movement shooter, but they're all tiny indie projects. None of them have $100 million for their games, and such high quality games under their belt. I'm gonna say, I keep saying this, Splitgate Arena Reloaded is great, but it has the portal problem, which is why I can't recommend it. EMPULSE is going to be a movement shooter, a Titanfall-inspired movement shooter, which is what people have been wanting. The only thing they've been fucking talking about on Twitter, with the bar of quality I expect from Splitgate Arena Reloaded, which for me is very high. You might not know about it, but Arena Reloaded is great. Well, you probably do know about it now, because I've told you about it a million times. Arena Reloaded is very good. And EMPULSE, if they can pour that same level of quality into this game, on launch, not after updates, on launch, 1047, on launch, baby. Okay, another controversial opinion. I think one thing people misunderstand about the one for Titanfall is it's not just multiplayer. People want the campaign. The majority of players who have actively played Titanfall have spent more time in the campaign than in multiplayer. They've probably seen videos of the campaign or played it for a couple of games and thought that's cool, but they've left. When people online are asking for Titanfall, I don't think they're asking for multiplayer. I think they're asking for the campaign. And EMPULSE is 100%, I can guarantee, going to be a free-to-play title without a campaign. And that's like, this isn't Halo, right? There's no expectation of a campaign. This is a free-to-play studio who has made free-to-play games. There isn't that expectation but at the same time, it might not align with what people actually want. The nature of it being a free-to-play game, I think, means a lot of people are going to try it. The consensus is that people want Titanfall, right? They're going to see a game with movement and titans in it, and they'll be like, okay, this is catering to my interests, I'm going to give it a try. I'm going to give it a try. See what I said there? They're going to give it a try, and I think they're going to enjoy it. It's also probably going to be free-to-play. They've always done free-to-play games. EMPULSE is 100% going to be free-to-play. And it's going to be good, based on Arena Reloaded. For these reasons, I think this game has the makings of 1047's first long-term hit. That was a 44-minute tangent about that point. I spent 44 minutes. Okay, it might not be fun. I don't know if I'm going to edit this, because this has been dense yap. Hopefully the audio is usable. Imagine I open OBS, open the recording after this, and it's just unusable. That'd be hilarious. God, I'm going off track. What am I on about? I think EMPULSE is going to be good. End of story. It's 2 AM. Bye. Jesus Christ.